Hey, it's Dan Charles with Cannabiz News. We're going to do our weekly cannabis stock breakdown video. Okay, so first let's look at HMMJ. Now this is a Canadian marijuana ETF. So it's a basket of different cannabis stocks in one. So here's what I'm looking at when I see this. Now this was very dead for some time. Tried to break out a bit, pulled back down. It actually found some support around the $8.37 low, broke out again, and now it's starting to move. I should make a note that a year ago, September, the Canadian cannabis stocks really started to take off, and they did the exact same thing this year as well. So there's often patterns to different sectors, and you just need to learn those patterns. And right now we're seeing a September rally, at least on the Canadian cannabis stocks. So here's HMMJ, like I said, an ETF. Had a nice month of September. In the last few days, it's making new recent highs. So what I see with this is I see that this looks more like a top is being hit. It could just be a temporary top, but usually when you see something like this where a high is made and then a strong bearish candle, you're usually going to get a follow through of lower prices. One good thing is you can see there's some support at 10.08. You can see that price hit that 10.08 on the Friday and pulled back up. So that could definitely be something. So watch that support at $10.08 on HMMJ. Now we're mostly going to look at the Canadian cannabis stocks in this video because they're definitely the hottest. So let's go to Canopy Growth Corporation. Symbol is weed. Okay, so like I said, they're going to look quite similar to the ETF. So it's very similar here, same type of look. But that's the same thing I'm going to say with this. It just seems like I could see this pulling back a little bit next week. So you got to kind of gauge the moves here. If you look at this breakout here, it breaks out. You can kind of gauge the move here from 955 to a high of 1090. And then you get a breakout here, 1137 to a high of 1323. This is how stocks move. Typically, they're going to move the same move as a recent move. So this was the move here. This is a similar type move. They're going to pull back, and then they're either going to come back down or they're going to go sideways for a little bit, maybe go red for 2-3 days, and then find some support and then get ready for the next leg up, if it in fact it does that. So how I would play this, how I will play this is, first of all, there's no way I'm buying back in right now because I do see it pulling back. I would wait for a pullback. Kind of like an entry like this. This is a nice signal to buy in. This could be a signal to buy in. This could be a signal to buy in. So you can see here, it breaks out, pulls back, finds support, breaks out again, hits resistance, pulls back, and you get kind of a little 2-day pullback and then buy back in. That's basically how I trade everything, not just these stocks. So that's Canopy Growth. Let's look at Aurora Cannabis. ACB is the symbol. Okay, so here is Aurora Cannabis, ACB, and you can see here this actually hit resistance. So this tells me more, but that's probably going to pull back next week. So the resistance is at $3.19. You can see on the Thursday. And then again on the Friday, that same 319 was hit. You can see that red line, and then boom, pull back. So a lot of selling going on there. Volume at 9.4, 9.5 million basically. So yeah, I'd be waiting for the right entry point on this. Let's go to APH, which is Afria. Okay, so here is APH. Again, like I pointed out, these are all going to look the same as the ETF because these stocks are in the ETF. They make up the ETF. So looking at them all separately, my analysis is going to be the same on every one, but we might as well go through them all, or as many as I can right now, not all. So you can see here a high was made, 788 was the high, and then just the selling took over, 4 million shares. So this is something where I'm just waiting to see what happens. This is a wait and see what happens. You can see with my style of trading, there's setups to buy here on September 27th, setups to buy here on September 28th, and then a little earlier there's setups in here September 14th, September 15th. This is definitely not the time to buy. In fact, I would have sold on this day for sure. Once you get a gap up like this and then the selling pressure starts happening, it'd be very, very rare for it to just continue to go higher. And you also have to look at the fact that it's overextended, and you have to keep in mind the patterns. I talked about it from the first one we looked at. Stocks usually move to a similar pattern, a recent pattern, in the amount it moves. So this was a move here. This broke out from this level, this $6.09 level, hits $6.93 for a high, pulls back a little bit, and then it breaks out again, 680s, hits 780. So you have to remember that that's the pattern. It's gonna go up. It's always gonna have to pull back. You're gonna always be waiting for the pullback to get back in. So it's the same thing on that one. Let's look at MJN, which is Kronos Group. Just to clarify to everybody, I do not own any of these Canadian cannabis stocks. I sold all my my U.S. cannabis stocks last year basically, and then I got in a couple early in the beginning of this year, but then the whole cannabis sector just went absolutely downhill, and I got out with great profits. And I've been mostly sitting on the sidelines. And although I'm based in Canada, I didn't take part in these cannabis stocks moving this time, mostly because my money has been in other different sectors, different currencies, different commodities. So I was not part of this September rally in the Canadian cannabis stocks. Okay, so here's MJN. Same thing, identical. There is some support here at the low at 282 from Thursday, and the high hit was 309, so at least it broke the $3 mark on Thursday. So that's good, but you can just see the movement here. Here's this movement here, pulls back, breaks out again. What you want to see is, you want to see a look like this, where it's going to pull back. And pullbacks can last days, they can last weeks. But for an uptrend, for a nice uptrending stock, realistically, you want to see a 1 to 3 day pullback. So let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you want to see like a breakout, and then you're going to want to get into like this candle here, and then you're going to get in for the next breakout. A lot of people would wait for it to break the recent high, and that would be their entry point. With my style, I can kind of tell that it's going to break, and I would get in a little bit earlier. That works for me. So then what would be the look is, let's say you get in here around 292. You're going to look for a similar size move from these moves. So, you can't be too greedy, and you have to look for what's overextended as well, because price does not just keep going straight up and up and up and up. So realistically, you want to exit after a large rangy candle. Now this isn't that big of a rangy candle, but that's when you want to exit, because usually after a long range candle, it's going to see some pullback after that. So that's kind of the look for a re-entry. We'll do one more. So let's look at OG Organogram Holdings, OGI. Okay, here is OGI Organogram, and this hit some resistance here. So we got resistance at the high of $3.08. There it is there, $3.08. So this, it's good that we had this this long lower wick, because that tells you that although it was all the way down here at this low in the day of 284, the buyers bought it back up. But you still have to watch this resistance at $3.08. So you want to see that broken, but my analysis is the same. I think the Canadian cannabis stocks had a nice little rally for the month of September and early October, and I could see them pulling back a little bit. It might be a 1 to 3 day pullback, but you have to wait for the right entry, the safest entry. So that would be it. That's all I could say about OGI. Now, if you have any questions, you can go below in the YouTube comments and ask me a question. You can go to simpletrades.net as well. Try my 7-day free trial and check out Cannabiz News for all cannabis related everything. All right, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.